Part 32. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 311. Pingshan, the headquarters of the adjudication army. Wei Miao lay sideways on the sofa, as if sleeping. Priest Baizu and Xiaopinggan stood next to her. Priest Baizu held his soul crystal ball in his hand and muttered words while the crystal ball turned around on Wei Miao's head. Various changing lights and shadows appeared in the crystal ball, various faces, various characters. Some faces were blurry, some faces were clear, some were blurred dreams, and some were the tram buses Wei Miao took every day. The scene of commuting to and from work, and in Wei Miao's intermittent blurred dreams, a grey-black mist can be vaguely seen surrounding her head. After a long time, Priest Baizu gently put away the soul crystal ball in his hand, turned to Xiaopinggan next to him and said, "I can confirm that it is indeed a dream demon. This little girl was invaded by a dream demon in her sleep. I don't know why. I feel like I have become the puppet of the dream demon." Xiaopinggan frowned. Where did she get the black evil poison? It should have been quietly stuffed into her bag when she was commuting on the rail bus, and she didn't even know it. Can you be sure who gave it to her? Priest Baizu shook his head. It's impossible to be sure. She meets many people on her way to and from get off work every day. The faces in her memory are too vague, and some have no memory at all. She doesn't know who gave them to her. So even if we trace her soul and memory, it's impossible to find that person. In other words, we have no way to find the dream demon and lock down the dream demon's whereabouts. I'm afraid that's the case. So far, the Judgment Army doesn't have any information about the dream demon. It doesn't even know whether the dream demon is male or female. The dream demon is the most difficult to deal with among the 5 demons. Then why was the dream demon able to invade her dream? Priest Baizu's eyes deepened, and he whispered softly like a dream, "The mystery of dreams can exceed everyone's imagination. Dreams are not unconscious illusions in the brain, but the experience of the human spirit in another world. That the world can exist beyond time and space, so many things in dreams are harbingers of the real world, which is why dream fortune tellers appear. What you mean is that the world in dreams is connected, just like the real world, so the dream demon can control others through dream invasion and make others become puppets. I am not familiar with the realm of dreams. This realm is too mysterious, but based on numerous indications, I am afraid it is like this. Dream demons can control others through the influence of dreams without having to come into contact with them." As he spoke, Priest Baizu said. He took a deep look at Xiaopinggan, shook his head slightly, and sighed, "You are really capable of causing trouble. Not long after you arrived in Shangjing City, so many people want your head." Xiaopinggan smiled bitterly. "Don't you know, I was forced to do so. Okay, you should pay more attention to yourself in the future. The Sun family's affairs will be handled by the adjudication army. You should pay more attention to the dream demon. Although the dream demon failed this time, since you have been targeted by him, you won't give up like that. In the future, you should pay more attention to the people around you, and don't even know if someone puts a gun to your head." "I will pay attention." Xiaopinggan has sent Priest Baizu to the door. "Can I ask, can the dream demon control the summoner?" "Summoners can also dream, and they will naturally be controlled by him, but the summoner's spiritual will is much stronger than ordinary people, so even if he can control it, it shouldn't be that easy, and the higher the level of the summoner, the less likely he is to control it." "Easily controlled by him. Okay, I understand, please walk slowly." Priest Baizu left, and only Xiaopinggan and Wei Miao, who was lying asleep, were left in the room. In the afternoon, Xiaopinggan found a reason and took Yangzi's confession with Wei Miao to the Pingshan camp of the Judgment Army and found Priest Baizu. In Xiaopinggan's words, after the assassin failed in the assassination, he was caught by himself. After writing the confession, he took poison and died while he was not paying attention. It turned into thick blood. Anyway, With the confession, it doesn't matter whether the assassin is alive or not. As for Wei Miu, Xiaopingan asked Priest Beizu to see if there were any hidden dangers or clues in Wei Miu. This girl was good, and Xiaopingan didn't want her to be inexplicably involved in these complicated things and be harmed by the dream demon. As soon as Priest Beizu left, Xiaopingan snapped his fingers in Wei Miu's ear, and Wei Miu suddenly woke up. Making people fall asleep is just a small magic. After Xiaopingan fused Nankaiman's boundary pearl before, he mastered the method of summoning sleepy bugs with divine power. When he summoned them, the sleepy bugs flew into the person's ears and the person fell asleep. Wei Miu woke up and saw that she was sleeping on the sofa. She was a little embarrassed and her face turned red. She quickly stood up, straightened her clothes, lowered her head and said quietly, "Sorry, I don't know either. When did I fall asleep?" "It's okay. I guess you are a little tired these days. There is no need to get to the office so early in the morning. You can rest a little longer and go to work at normal times." "Sir, are the documents ready?" Wei Miu looked at it and found that the documents she brought were gone, and her face suddenly turned redder. "Well, it's done. I saw you asleep just now so I didn't wake you up. I've already handed in the documents. Let's go." "It's okay." Xiaopingan immediately took Wei Miu out of the General Affairs building of the Judgment Army. Walking out of the gate of the Pingshan camp of the Judgment Army, it was already evening. There were 2 black taxis parked on the roadside outside. Xiaopingan put Wei Miu on a carriage and asked the driver to take Wei Miu home, while he got on another one. The man in the iron mask sat in the car and waited, while the little black pig huddled under the seat of the car, completely making himself invisible. "How is it?" the man in the iron mask asked. It's the dream demon," Xiaopingan nodded. "Then you have to be careful from now on." "Well, let the soldiers come and cover up the water with the earth," Xiaopingan said. "By the way, do you want to go get something to eat together?" From the time he arrived at Pengwang auction house last night until now, he and the iron masked man had actually not eaten anything. There were so many things going on that they had forgotten about them for a while. Now that I think about it, they are still a little hungry. "Okay," the iron-faced man touched his belly, "I know there is a fish dumpling restaurant in Shangjing City that does a good job. The fish dumplings are paired with peach blossom wine and plum jam, which is a masterpiece. Okay, let's try it." When it comes to eating, drinking and having fun in the capital, none of the 10 Xiaopingans combined know as much as the man in the iron mask. From last night to now, Xiaopingan's spirit has been tense after 2 assassinations and a major change. It is still necessary to relax appropriately. Peach Blossom Fish and Sauce is located in an alley in an old residential area by the Chinan River in the capital city. When the carriage arrived, it was already dark. Those who can find this place are all the gourmets in Shangjing City. The fish used in the fish dumplings is delicious sea fish, and the peach blossom wine and plum sauce that are paired with the fish dumplings are all the ancestral craftsmanship of the store. When he came here, the man in the iron mask took off his mask and felt quite relaxed. The cook who is the boss is very lively, and the husband who is the waiter is dull and simple. There are not many diners in the store. A table is equipped with a small stove, occupying a small room, which is quite stylish, because the price of the fish and meat feast here is not high for ordinary people. Speaking of Xiaogui, after one meal, more than 10 or 20 silver coins are gone, so the people who come here to eat fish and meat are all regular customers like the iron-faced man. The little black pig was on the carriage and did not follow. The fish meat was indeed fresh and delicious, and the peach blossom wine had a unique taste. Xiaopingan and the iron-faced man devoured it happily. The little black pig stayed on the carriage. The carriage could not be entered in the alley of the residential area, and the carriage was parked by the Chinan River. As soon as Xiaopingan and the man in the iron mask left, the eyes of the little black pig hiding under the seat started to roll. The night is getting darker, and the Chinan River is quiet. There is only the sound of waves lapping on the embankment. The painted boats in the past have all stopped today, and there is no singing or dancing. It has been a long time since Xiaopingan and the iron-faced man went to eat fish and shrimps. The coachman had just left the carriage to relieve himself. The little black pig suddenly got out from under the seat, stood on his hind legs, lay down at the door of the carriage, pressed the door handle inside the door with his two front hooves, and opened the door with a click. The next second, the little black pig jumped out of the car at lightning speed and was suddenly plunged into the darkness. The little black pig thought he had run away, but he didn't know that the God of Fortune boy was riding on it, using it as a mount, giggling, so happy. The iron-faced man's brows moved, and he looked at Xiaopingan with a smile. That little pet of yours is not very honest. It's okay, let it run away. Xiaopingan smiled and raised his wine glass. Thank you for your generous help last night for this glass of wine. If you don't take action, I can't get it by myself. The sound in the small room was blocked by magic, so the two of them could chat safely here. You're welcome. As long as I see the situation last night, I can't just sit back and watch. The man in the iron mask drank the peach blossom wine in one gulp. Actually, you are more suitable to join the Judgment Army. The iron-masked man coughed twice in embarrassment. I wanted to join when I was in the Yang realm, but I was rejected and was not selected. Otherwise, nothing would happen to me later. When I have money, there is no need to join anymore. Xiaopingan was stunned for a moment and laughed. Tell me, why did you join the Judgment Army? The man in the iron mask asked. Actually, I am a skycrosser. I joined the Judgment Army just because I wanted to gain a foothold in Shangjing City and obtain training resources. Xiaopingan said with a smile. The man in the iron mask took a slight breath of air, and his eyes towards Xiaopingan changed slightly. He stared at Xiaopingan with a profound look. Tell me this kind of secret, you really don't treat me as an outsider. Haha, it's nothing. Even the blood demon sect knows this. You don't have to be afraid even if you know it. I'm wanted by the blood demon sect right now. That's strange, then why does the blood demon cult target you specifically? I said I don't know if you believe it. Xiaopingan shook his head. It should be the blood demon sect's treatment of those who cross the sky. The iron-masked man thought for a while and shook his head. No, the blood demon sect is indeed unfriendly to sky crossers, but there don't seem to be many who are so specifically targeted. And how do they know your identity? You mean, the blood demon cult generally doesn't want to hunt down sky crossers? At least I know that there hasn't been one before. The iron-faced man shook his head, because there are many skywalkers entering the Yuan-Kai world, and the skywalkers all enter secretly. If every skywalker is pursued by the blood demon sect, killing order, then think about how many people the blood demon cult wants to hunt down. Such pursuits and wanted hunts are the same as none. Moreover, under normal circumstances, the identity of the skycrosser is a secret, and only the skycrosser himself knows it. It is not easy for the blood demon sect to determine the identity of the skycrosser. And how were you exposed? After hearing what the man in the iron mask said, Xiaopingan also felt that this matter seemed a bit strange, and the situation might be different from what he imagined. Recall that from the beginning, there were accidents during the transmission process of the Tianmending plan, and he and many others deviated from the transmission place. Moreover, as soon as everyone arrived in Yuan-Kai realm and got separated, before they did anything, the blood demon sect already knew their identities and began to hunt them down with rewards, as if they wanted to catch all the members of the Tianmending project. If all this is abnormal, then there must be some special reason behind it. Chapter 2 later. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 312. After eating fish and meat and drinking wine in the shop, it was already dark and the two of them walked out of the alley in the residential area. The carriage and its driver were still waiting on the roadside. Go to Mingjin Road. Xiaopingan said to the driver and got on the bus. "Why are you going to Mingjin Road?" asked the man in the iron mask who got in the car. "Mingjin Road is 7 or 8 miles away from here, not far away." The man in the iron mask doesn't know where Xiaopingan is going and what he is going to do. "Ha ha ha, go find my little pet." Xiaopingan laughed. Looking at Xiaopingan's expression, the iron-faced man knew that Xiaopingan really had a way to deal with the little black pig, so he was not in a hurry. The carriage started running on the road, and just over 10 minutes later, it arrived at the Mingjin Road that Xiaopingan said. Both sides of Mingjin Road are old and low-rise residential areas. At night, except for the street lights on the main road, the roads and streets and alleys on both sides of Mingjin Road are darkly lit. At a glance, the residential areas there are clothes hanging ropes everywhere upstairs, and downstairs there are cheap snacks and night markets on the roadside, theaters, barber shops, and some prostitutes hanging out in the alleys on the streets. It is noisy, and filled with the atmosphere of the market. The smell of fireworks, and occasionally the sound of quarrels. This is where the working people in Shangjing City live. Stop next to the alley at the left, turn ahead. Xiaopingan ordered the driver, and the taxi stopped at the alley at the intersection ahead. Just a few minutes later, there was a little noise and movement in the dark alley. Xiaopingan didn't say anything more, and just opened the car door calmly. The little black pig jumped out of the alley and saw the carriage and the open door. Without thinking, he rushed up from outside, jumped into the carriage, huddled under the seat, and shivered. After not seeing each other for just 2 hours, the little black pig had a few bloody wounds on its back, a bump on its head, some hair loss on its buttocks, and blisters, as if it had been burned. Xiaopingan closed the car door and asked the driver to go to Changle Lane. The carriage had just walked more than 10 meters when several tall and thick men with bare arms and upper bodies rushed out of the alley. Some of those men had hammers, knives, and wooden sticks in their hands. Some were holding fire tongs, some were holding axes, and some were holding ropes. "Hey, where's that pig? Why is it missing?" The man holding the knife looked around at the intersection. "She shouldn't have gone far. Let's look again. Yes, if you find it, we can make a tooth sacrifice tonight and bake it to eat. I don't believe that this pig that was delivered to your door can escape." Several men were searching in nearby alleys. In the carriage, Xiaopingan gently touched the head of the little black pig and smiled gently. The little black pig's eyes were frightened, and its body was still trembling and pitiful. After leaving Xiaopingan, the little black pig realized that everyone in the city was so dangerous to him and had become his natural enemy. "How about it, you can't run away even if I ask you to. Apart from me, there may be people in this world who can solve my sealing technique. I'm not sure, so I don't dare to say it too harshly, but you are so run out. Do you think you have a chance of not being braised and steamed and brought to the table before you can find the person who can unblock the sealing technique for you? A little black pig running around, whether in the city or in the wild, you are lucky if you can survive for a day. If you want to run away, you can try again in the future. I won't stop you, but this is the last time I save you. This time it is your luck. Next time, you can't try again after escaping. It's hard to say if you come back to me, it depends on your life." The little black pig kowtowed to Xiaopingan. The iron-faced man next to him stabbed him, looked at the little black pig, shook his head and sighed, "Let's not talk about whether there is such a person in the capital. As far as I know, there is no one. Even if you can find someone who can help you solve the problem, so what if you are a person who has opened the art of form? Have you ever thought about what kind of price you can pay to make that person willing to be an enemy of the adjudication army for you and an inspector? You have no other choice but to sell yourself as a slave. You risked your life to escape, and in the end you just found another opportunity to sell yourself. Are you stupid, and you are so sure that the person who can save you is not a pervert?" The little black pig looked desperate, froze and shed tears. The carriage stopped outside Changle Lane. Xiaopingan and the iron-faced man got off the carriage, and the little black pig followed, daring not to leave even an inch. Xiaopingan directly gave the carriage driver a gold coin. "Sir, I can't take it. It's our honor to be able to serve you." The driver of the carriage didn't dare to accept it. "Take it, I won't tell your boss. I can't let you run around for a day. If you don't accept it, I won't be happy." Xiaopingan directly stuffed the gold coin into the coachman's jacket pocket, then patted the coachman on the shoulder. Then, with the coachman's gratitude, he took the iron-masked man and the little black pig to the yard where he rented outside, take out the key and open the door. "Do you still have a house here?" "The house I bought for rent has been demolished by someone." The little black pig shrank his head. Entering the yard, Xiaopingan threw the key to the room to the iron-masked man, so that he could rest, and then went to the basement to retreat. As for the little black pig, Xiaopingan didn't bother to care about it. It would find it on its own place to stay. This place is close to the foot of Pingshan Mountain, and there are some wealthy families nearby. The iron-faced man is by his side as a bodyguard, and the god of fortune boy is also there. There is no risk in terms of safety. Xiaopingan can fuse the world beads with confidence. In the underground secret room, Xiaopingan took out the big gift box given to him by Baitang Wangchuan. The world beads in the gift box lie one by one in the box padded with dark red velvet. They are like precious jewels, shining brightly. The total number of world beads in the box is 22, possessing divine thoughts. There are 12 crystal world beads, and the other 10 world beads, there is no divine mind crystal, and no one knows how to fuse them. Maybe someone happened to fuse them before, but the people who have fused them don't know how they fused them. However, the only advantage of these world beads is that even if the dream is interpreted incorrectly, no one will die, so Baitang Wangchuan safely gave these world beads to Xiaopingan as a generous gift. Among the world beads with 12 divine mind crystals, there is another world bead, which is the world bead of Yan Ying's interpretation of dreams that Xiaopingan had fused before. Therefore, only 20 of these world beads can really be fused. 1. After fusing these world beads, I should be able to advance to the 5 Yang realm. Xiaopingan looked at the world beads in the box, his eyes flashed, and he whispered to himself. In the past few days, there have been constant dangers around him, and he has encountered continuous assassinations and various dangers. Xiaopingan's desire for strength has become more and more urgent. At this moment, the upper limit of Xiaopingan's secret mandala's divine power is 4,519 points, which is only 731 points away from the 5,250 points of the 5 Yang realm. If the 21 world beads in front of you are integrated well, it is entirely possible to advance to the 5 Yang realm. These dream-interpreting world beads can bring about dream interpretation. Xiaopingan heard before that the ability of dream interpretation can be strengthened and superimposed. The stronger the dream interpretation, the stronger the ability to deeply evolve other people's dreams. I don't know this. What will happen to your dream acting skills after the world beads are completely integrated? By the way, no one has been able to imitate the dream demon's strange ability. Is it also related to these dream interpretation beads and dream interpretation skills? Xiaopingan's eyes moved, he looked among the boundary beads, and directly picked up a boundary bead without a spiritual mind crystal. This is a boundary bead that shines with golden luster. There are several small seal characters in the boundary bead. The Yellow Emperor seeks famous ministers because of his dream. The Yellow Emperor wrote the Dream Divination Sutra and was the ancestor of Chinese dream interpretation, so Xiaopingan first integrated this world pearl. He pricked his finger with a silver needle and dripped blood onto the boundary bead. In the blink of an eye, Xiaopingan was surrounded by a golden cocoon of light. When Xiaopingan's consciousness reappeared, it was in a dream. To be precise, it was in the dream that Huangdi once had. Everything in the dream was bizarre. Xiaopingan saw the howling wind. The violent wind blew across the endless vast land. The dust on the ground was blown up by the wind. In the endless wind, the entire earth, the entire world and the ground, all the dust on the bed was blown away. After the dust on the ground was blown away by the strong wind, Xiaopingyan saw a man walking over. It was a giant holding a powerful crossbow in his hand, driving countless sheep, and the countless sheep were in thousands. Tens of thousands, countless, walking through the land that had just been blown clean by the wind. Then, Xiaopingyan woke up from his dream. In the palace, lying on the bed. Xiaopingyan stood up directly, came to the desk, pondered for a moment, and then began to write an order to mobilize everyone in the tribe to find two people. One of the two people was named Feng Ho and the other was Limu. This is the result of Huangdi's analysis of his dream just now. The dream just symbolized that the two people will help Huangdi rule the world and win victory. The wind is the command and the ruler. When the wind blows away the dirt, it means the dirt is removed, which is the queen. The person symbolized by the strong wind is called the Wind Queen. The Qinjun crossbow is a person with extraordinary powers, able to drive thousands of sheep and herd people to do good deeds. The name symbolized by the latter is Li Mu. After Feng, Limu, that is the famous minister beside Huangdi. Call the attendants in and give the order, and the entire world of Jizu will be shattered. Xiaopingyan opened his eyes, and within a minute of merging the world bead, it was completely fused. The situation in the secret mandala has also changed. This world bead gave Xiaopingyan 60 points of divine power. At the same time, there was also a sculpture of the Yellow Emperor's dream in the temple. In the sculpture, there was a strong wind and a flock of sheep. Lifelike, as if it can move, this is the summoning position of this world pearl's dream casting technique. At the same time, the dream summoning position of Huangdi's dreamland and the dream summoning position of Yan Ying's dream interpretation sculpture emit a light to each other's sculpture, and complement each other. The two dreams seem to have some strange resonance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 313. Ha ha ha, Sang Tianwich, the last time you interpreted my dream, didn't you say that I can't eat this year's new wheat? Today, new wheat has been delivered to the palace. I have asked the palace chef to make new wheat mutton porridge. Stay tuned. I'll taste it with you later. In the glorious Jin Palace, Jin Jinggong sat on the table and laughed condescendingly at Xiaopingyan. He was very proud and humiliated Xiaopingyan with his words. This is the boundary bead that interprets Jin Jinggong's dream. Xiaopingyan's identity at this moment is the Sang Tianwich. A few days ago, as soon as Xiaopingyan opened his eyes, he was called to the palace by Jin Jinggong to interpret his dream. Jin Jinggong dreamed that there were evil ghosts saying that Jin Jinggong killed his descendants and wanted to take Jin Jinggong's life, and then Xiaopingyan gave him Jin's interpretation of the dream is Your Majesty will not be able to eat this year's new wheat, he will die soon. These days, Jin Jinggong has been worried, but he found that he was fine. Until Xinmei entered the palace today, Jin Jinggong recruited Xiaopingyan into the palace again, preparing to perform eating new wheat in front of Xiaopingyan. Xiaopingyan looked at Jin Jinggong speechlessly and said nothing. He was thinking that Jin Jinggong's stomach was about to hurt. I said you can't eat new wheat, so you can't eat new wheat. Seeing that Xiaopingyan remained silent, Jin Jinggong was even more happy, thinking that Xiaopingyan had admitted the failure of dream prediction and that he was not exhausted, so he laughed after the case. Sang Tianwu, you are just talking nonsense. I don't think you will stop interpreting dreams in the future. How can something happen to the king? The king is so powerful that nothing will happen to him. In the main hall, opposite Xiaopingyan, there was a small official sitting in the court. The small official was twirling his beard and sarcastically mocking Xiaopingyan proudly. A few days ago, This little official also had a dream. He dreamed that he was flying into the sky with Jin Jinggong on his back. When he woke up, the little official was so happy that he thought this was a sign of his rapid rise, so he went around giving people he said that he had such an auspicious dream, and everyone in Tangdu knew about it. Jin Jinggong also knew about it and was very happy. Today, in order to humiliate Xiaoping'an, he invited this little official to taste new wheat together. Xiaoping'an didn't defend himself. He just looked at the fool who had an auspicious dream and thought he was going to be prosperous with a slightly sympathetic look. He shook his head secretly. If you come to me to interpret your dream, I can still save your life. You have to do it yourself. I have no choice but to seek death. You are the first person to dream of killing yourself. Do you think that dreaming about flying into the sky with Jin Jinggong on your back means that you are going to be a successful person? Haha, you are still shouting everywhere. That is to ask you to go down to the manure pit to fish people out, and to carry people out of the pit, and then Jin Ligong will ask you to go and help him. His father was buried and died together with Jin Jinggong. Your Majesty, the new wheat porridge is ready. After a while, the maid from the palace came to the palace carrying several plates. On the plate was freshly cooked new wheat porridge. Mutton was added to the new wheat porridge, and it had been prepared by the royal chef in the palace. The aroma was fragrant. As soon as the new wheat porridge was served, the face of Jin Jinggong, who was still smiling, suddenly changed, and he suddenly covered his stomach, seeming a little uncomfortable. The new wheat porridge had been placed in front of his desk. Jin Jinggong gritted his teeth and picked up the spoon. He was about to take a bite of the new wheat porridge in front of Xiaoping'an to break Xiaoping'an's dream interpretation prophecy. He just raised his hand and his face changed. Then, my stomach rumbled, and the hand holding the spoon shook, and the porridge in the spoon suddenly spilled into the bowl, never reaching my mouth. Sang Tianwu, please wait a moment. I have a stomachache. Wait until I come back, and then I can taste the new wheat porridge with you. Jin Jinggong smiled forcefully, then stood up quickly, holding his stomach. He bent slightly and, under the service of the two eunuchs, hurriedly left the hall to go to his convenience. Xiaoping'an shook his head and started to drink the new wheat porridge in front of him. If he waited for a while, he would be afraid that he wouldn't be able to drink it anymore. Xuanhuan uses 8 characters to record the current situation of Jin Jinggong: eating, bloating, going to the toilet, sinking and dying. Sang Tianwu, why are you starting to eat? His Majesty hasn't come back yet. You are so rude. The little official sitting opposite Xiaoping'an saw that Xiaoping'an had started to drink porridge by himself, and he directly accused him. Xiaoping'an is coming. You should eat some too, otherwise you won't be able to eat any more after a while. Xiaoping'an looked at the clerk and said. The clerk's face changed slightly. What do you mean? Just after the clerk was surprised for a moment, he suddenly remembered the screams of several eunuchs outside the palace. Oh no, your Majesty fell into the toilet pit and sank. After a while, the eunuch's scream was like a mourning mother. His Majesty has passed away. The palace suddenly became chaotic. After a while, Jin Jinggong's son Xuanhuan came to the palace with a large number of soldiers with an iron face. Looked at Xiaoping'an with awe. Xiaoping'an interpreted his dream and said that his father couldn't eat new wheat. His father really didn't eat new wheat. All the new wheat porridge in the palace was brought to the table, but he didn't eat a bite. He died. The Sangtian witch had the ability to communicate with ghosts and gods, and he also fulfilled his duties. Xuanhuan did not dare to neglect him. When he looked at the little official, his face turned cold, and he pointed directly at the little official who dreamed of flying into the sky with Qi Jinggong on his back. It's just him, let him go down to the toilet pit to carry people. The world of Jizu suddenly shattered. The world bead that interprets Jin Jinggong's dream is the 17th world bead that Xiaoping'an fused tonight. In addition to the dream interpretation bead that he fused before, Xiaopingyan has already fused 18 world beads of the same kind. Pellets. Just as the world of the Jizu was shattered, Xiaopingyan's consciousness returned to the temple of the secret mandala. With the appearance of the relief of the hungry ghost seeking death in Jin Jinggong's dream, there have been as many as 18 reliefs of the dream interpretation world pearl in the secret mandala. Xiaopingyan originally thought that when this relief appeared, it would be arranged in the temple of the secret mandala like the previous ones, but Xiaopingyan was wrong. Because just after this relief sculpture appeared, the entire temple began to undergo earth-shaking changes. The sky caisson of the temple bloomed with colorful light, and all the reliefs in the temple were glowing. The 18 dream interpretation reliefs flew up from the ground in the light, suspended in the air of the entire hall, and then slowly merged into a building containing the huge relief sculpture depicts 18 dreams, like a long bridge. The entire secret mandala was shaking violently as if an earthquake had occurred. The entire temple was also shaking. Colorful light surged from the sky and from the ground. The previous temple suddenly more than doubled in size. At the end of the temple as it extended, a more magnificent hall appeared. A tall arch like a rainbow slowly condensed in the light and appeared in the hall. The relief sculpture that was condensed from 18 dreams flew into the hall, slowly changing its shape, and finally merged with the tall arch like a rainbow. By the time everything calmed down in the secret mandala, Xiaopingyan's temple had changed drastically. The size of the temple in the secret mandala has doubled, and the layout has changed drastically. At the end of the temple, there is a magnificent hall. In the hall, there is a huge golden arch dozens of meters high, with 18 colors on the arch gorgeous dream relief. Within the arch, there was a misty, colorful mist, separated by a light curtain. Kangja, who had been writing in the temple, appeared in front of the hall with a jade pen and wrote 4 big characters on the entrance of the hall, Temple of the Spiritual World. At the same time, the divine power in the caisson in the sky of the temple has reached 5,238 points after just integrating the world bead, which is only one step away from the 5 yang realm. Xiaopingyan was also stunned by the changes in the secret mandala. He did not expect that after integrating the 18 dream interpretation beads, the secret mandala would undergo such huge changes. No one had ever told Xiaopingyan that being able to fuse 18 dream interpretation world beads would produce such a huge change. There are only 13 dream interpretation world beads in this world that have divine sense crystals. Perhaps, not many people can truly fuse the 18 dream master world beads. Therefore, not many people know what is behind the fusion of the 18 dream master world beads. Contains huge secrets. What is behind the huge golden arch in the spiritual world temple? Is it the spiritual world? Chapter 2 will be updated later. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 314. If there is a spiritual world behind the huge golden arch, then is the spiritual world the world experienced by the spiritual body condensed by the soul and soul in the dream that the priest Beza said. Does the dream demon's strange ability come from this? Xiaopingyan looked at the golden arch in the hall, and countless questions appeared in Xiaopingyan's mind. But, how can I reach the so-called spiritual world? As soon as these questions appeared, the next second, Xiaopingyan found himself standing in the spirit world temple. Xiaopingyan looked at his hands and feet and was shocked. In the past, he could only use his own consciousness to enter the secret mandala, but this spiritual world temple is like the world in the world bead, allowing him to be here condensate your own spirit body. Xiaopingyan could feel that his body was still sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed in the secret room, but the feeling of this spiritual body was completely the same as that of his body. The huge golden arch was right next to him, majestic and imposing, spanning the entire hall like a sky bridge. The colorful fog behind the golden arch is rolling, and the 18 reliefs on the arch are lifelike. There seems to be a mysterious and unpredictable world behind the thick fog, and it seems that you can cross it with just one step. Xiaopingyan stood in front of the golden arch and thought for a moment, and finally resisted the urge to step in. The next second, Xiaoping's consciousness retreated from the secret mandala, and he suddenly opened his eyes in the secret room. There are still 12 points of divine power before he can advance to the 5 Yang realm. Once he reaches the 5 Yang realm, his strength can be improved a lot. It won't be too late to fuse another world bead before crossing the golden arch. He can sharpen his sword without making any mistakes. Even the firewood workers need only a few minutes of work. With this thought in his mind, Xiaoping looked at the remaining 4 world beads in the box in front of him that had not yet been fused. He directly picked up a Furong Xuanhuan world bead, pricked his finger, and fused with blood. The remaining Dream Master world beads are the kind of world beads that no one can fuse without the Divine Sense Crystal. Xiaoping opened his eyes and found that he was sitting in the court. Above the court, all the officials stood on both sides, looking at him carefully, not daring to express their anger. On the public case in front of him, there are many official documents and files. Furong, courtesy name Boxiu, was a famous official of the former Qin clan, the son of Emperor Wenhuan Fuxiong, the younger brother of Emperor Xianzhao Fujian, and the nephew of Emperor Jingming Fujian. Just looking at these 3 identities, you can tell why these people in the court are. He was so submissive in front of himself. At this moment, an official in maroon-colored official attire came to the court, carrying a lot of documents and files, and respectfully placed them on the public case in front of Xiaoping. Sir, this is the case file of all the prisoners in the Jingzhou Mansion prison. Please check it. After saying that, the official lowered his hands and stood aside, not daring to say anything more. Furong's official position at the moment was the Salai Xiaoei of the Jingzhou Mansion in the former Qin dynasty. The Salai Xiaoei had great power and was responsible for supervising the entire Jingzhou Mansion and its surrounding officials. It is also the duty of Salai Xiaoei to check the prisoner files in the prison to see if any officials bent the law for personal gain and wronged the people in the trials and judgments of those on death row. Xiaoping opened the case files and read them one by one while recalling Furong's life story in his mind. Furong had many deeds in his life, but when it comes to dream divination, there is only one. Furong solved a strange case by just relying on dream divination, and this case also went down in history. Compared with Furong Zhanmeng's method of solving crimes, all the detectives in later generations put together were inferior. Xiaoping looked through the files. After reading for a while, he finally found a name Dongfeng in the files. Xiaoping took out the file alone, read it again, and then asked the chief official of Jingzhou Mansion in the hall, Master Lu, what's going on with this Dongfeng case? Seeing Xiaoping take out Dongfeng's file, Jingzhou Prefecture Yin, who was standing next to him, calmed down, cupped his hands, and directly answered, Sir, Dongfeng killed his wife and was taken to the capital by his wife's brother. Zhao Mansion, after interrogation, Dongfeng has been arrested, so I sentence him to death and be executed by Queen Xiu. Oh, really? The file says that Dongfeng went away to study for 3 years and killed his wife the night he came back. Moreover, Dongfeng's motive for killing his wife was unknown. He couldn't explain it clearly. He only said it was a verbal quarrel. This matter is a bit strange. Dongfeng is here, I want to interrogate him personally. Xiaoping wanted to interrogate himself, but no one in the Jingzhou Mansion dared to say no, so they could only obediently bring Dongfeng from the prison to the lobby. After a while, a staggering man in his 30s wearing prison uniform, with a stubble on his face and a sallow complexion, was brought to the lobby, where he was held down and kneeled on the ground by the guards. As soon as the man saw Xiaoping sitting high in the lobby, and then looked at the official uniform of Captain Salai on Xiaoping and the officials of the Jingzhou Mansion standing on both sides of the lobby, his cloudy and dull eyes suddenly flashed. Liang screamed and kowtowed, Sir, I was wronged, I was wronged. This man had studied abroad for 3 years and was very courageous and knowledgeable. He knew what Furong was doing, so he quickly seized the opportunity to complain. Seeing the man crying unjust, the officials of Jingzhou Mansion standing on both sides of the lobby looked a little ugly, and they all glared at the man unjust. "Are you Dongfeng?" Xiaopinggan asked calmly. "The villain is Dongfeng. What are you wronged about?" "The villain did not kill his wife," Dongfeng said loudly. "But you have already recruited someone in this file." "That's because they surrendered and the villain couldn't bear the punishment, so they did it." When Dongfeng said this, the face of the governor of Jingzhou turned green in the court, and he quickly stepped forward to defend himself. "Your Majesty, this person committed the crime of murder. It is an unforgivable crime. According to custom, such a stubborn person must be sent to prison after coming. There is nothing wrong with using torture to interrogate him. Master Lu, there is no need to be nervous. There is nothing wrong with interrogating stubborn people and using torture. I am free to use discretion." Hearing what Xiaopinggan said, he was quite reasonable. The Jingzhou Prefecture Yin wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and took a step back to stop talking. This Lord Salai was a nobleman of the clan, and Emperor Jingming named him the King of Anil. He didn't want to be a powerful character. He couldn't afford to offend a small Jingzhou governor, so he could only accompany him carefully. "You said you didn't kill your wife, but what proof do you have?" Xiaopingyan asked Dongfeng. Dongfeng's face turned gray and he shook his head. "I have no proof. I returned home that day and slept all night. When I woke up the next day, my wife was killed, and then I was sent to the hospital." "Government. You didn't see the murderer either?" "No." "Does your wife have any grudge against anyone?" "I've been away from home for 3 years, and I don't know if my wife has any grudge against anyone." The governor of Jingzhou stood up again and explained, "Your Excellency, I asked the officers to ask Dongfeng's neighbors. His wife usually has no grudges or disputes with the neighbors, and there are no quarrels. That's why I concluded that it was Dongfeng kills people and interrogates them with torture." Xiaopingyan nodded, looked at Dongfeng again, and pondered for a while. "Although you claim to be unjust, there is no evidence. In this case, it will be difficult for me to clear your guilt. In this case, think about it again, before you go home. If you encounter anything weird on the road, if you tell me, I might be able to find some clues for you." Then Dongfeng thought for a while and suddenly became energetic. "Sir, I had a strange dream before going home this time. Can that strange dream be counted?" "Oh, tell me what strange dream you had." Dongfeng's face showed a look of reminiscence. "When I was preparing to go home, I had a strange dream at night. I dreamed that I was riding a horse across the river from the south. After crossing the river, I returned to the north and crossed again from the north. After crossing the river 3 times in the south, the horse finally stopped in the river and refused to move even after being whipped. I felt strange. I looked down while riding the horse and saw 2 suns in the water. The left side of the horse was white and wet, and the right side was black and dry." When Dongfeng said this, he swallowed. "When I woke up, my heart was pounding and I felt a little scared. On the night when I was about to come back, I had the same dream again. Then I went to ask the fortune teller. He said that my dream foreshadowed the fear of imprisonment, and the fortune teller also stayed away from the 3 pillows, avoided the 3 baths, did not take a bath, and did not sleep on a pillow. When I got home, my wife fetched water for me to bathe in, and gave me a pillow at night. I remembered the soothsayer's words and avoided them all. My wife bathed herself and slept with a pillow on her head. When I woke up the next day, she was killed." Xiaopingyan pondered for a moment, smiled slightly, and said directly to the governor of Jingzhou, "I already know what is going on in this case. Dongfeng was indeed unjust. There was someone else who killed his wife. Mr. Lu will do it now. Arrange for officers to visit Dongfeng's house and ask if there is a man named Feng Chang. Then Feng Chang is the murderer. We will find out after he is arrested and tried for a first time." All the officials and servants in the hall, including Dongfeng, were stunned. They didn't know why Fu Rong could identify the murderer just by listening to a dream, and he could even name the murderer. The Jingzhou Prefecture Yin took 2 steps forward and humbly asked for advice. "Excuse me, sir, how can we conclude from Dongfeng's dream that Dongfeng is not the murderer, and how can we tell the name of the murderer?" Everyone listened with open ears. Xiaopingan said with a smile, "In the Book of Changes, Gan means water, and horse means li. I dreamed of riding a horse to the south, and then from north to south, from Gan to li. The 3 lines are the same but change. It changed into li. Li means Zongnu, Gan means Zongnan, 2 sons, a horse in the river, and 2 days in the water, which are symbols of 2 husbands. This means that Dongfeng's wife was unfaithful, and during Dongfeng's study trip, he already had a good relationship. That Gan is a law enforcement official. The officials interrogated her husband, and the woman bled to death. The hexagram Gan has 2 yin and 1 yang, and the hexagram Li has 2 yang and 1 yin, changing places one after another. Li under Gan and Gan above are similar to Gigi. When King Wen of Zhou encountered being imprisoned in a farming village, he would live if he was polite, and he would die if he was rude. The left side of the horse is wet, which is water. The left side of the water is the right side of the horse, which is the character Feng. 2 days, is the word Chang, so the adulterer's surname was Feng Ming Chang. The adulterer and his wife conspired to murder, but due to a strange mistake, the adulterer went to Dong's house in the dark at night and accidentally killed his wife. After hearing this, the officials in the court were all impressed. The governor of Jingzhou immediately arranged for police officers to arrest the man named Feng Chang. More than an hour later, Feng Chang was captured and returned. As soon as he arrived at the lobby and saw the atmosphere in the lobby, Feng Chang's legs were frightened and his crotch was filled with feces and urine. He was all beaten before being tortured. The world of Jizu is shattered. The upper limit of divine power in the secret mandala temple suddenly increased by 66 points, exceeding 5,250 points. The mandala was shaken again, and Xiaopingan advanced to the 5 Yang realm. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 315. Summoners also need to sleep, rest, eat, drink and relieve themselves. Just when Xiaopingan was fusing the Dream Master world beads one by one in the secret room, in the small courtyard, the iron-faced man had already rested in his room, and the time had reached late at night unknowingly, and everything was silent outside. There were stars in the night sky, twin moons hung in the sky, like a hook, half a circle, and the faint sound of dogs barking came from the darkness outside. The little black pig hid in the kitchen, found a warm place in a corner, and fell asleep soundly. His face twitched from time to time, showing a look of gritted teeth. In the room, the iron-masked man was already lying on the bed, but suddenly, the iron-masked man lying on the bed opened his eyes, and his eyes flashed, as if he was a little surprised. Only at such a close distance could he feel the obscure and surging divine power fluctuations coming from the underground secret room below his room. The fluctuation of divine power was fleeting, but it was still captured by the man in the iron mask. 5 Yang realm, so fast, the iron-faced man murmured to himself, with shock in his eyes. The reason why he was able to advance quickly back then was because he risked his life to find the mineral deposits of spiritual crystals in the void secret realm. As for Xiaopingan, when the iron-faced man first intercepted Xiaopingan on the street outside the inspectorate, Xiaopingan was the 3 Yang realm, and the second time he met Xiaopingan was already at the 4 Yang realm. Unexpectedly, just a few days later, Xiaopingan was already at the 5 Yang realm. No wonder the man in the iron mask was a little shocked. For ordinary summoners, after the 3 Yang realm, it is already extremely difficult to find a world bead that can be fused, let alone a spiritual mind crystal that can match the world bead. There are many world beads. If you want to fuse them without the divine mind crystal, you are just kidding with your own life. Every year, Countless adventurous summoners die when their brains explode while fusing those world beads. As for Xiaopinggan, the speed of his advancement really shocked the man in the iron mask. Could he be Beitangzhao's illegitimate son? No, illegitimate children can't be born so quickly. The iron-faced man murmured to himself, feeling a little bad all over. Seeing Xiaopinggan advance to the Five Suns realm in just a few days, the iron-faced man even began to wonder if he had taken some detours in the first place. In the underground secret room, there was a crash. Xiaopinggan stood up from the bathtub, and wet water drops hung on his angular and sculpture-like body, giving him an indescribable masculine beauty. He stepped out of the bathtub and with a wave of his hand, the bathtub was taken into the space warehouse. At this moment, Xiaopinggan felt refreshed, as if he was reborn again. The feeling of soaking in the divine spring was simply addictive. Every time you advance, your body will undergo huge changes, and this time it is no different. The upper limit of divine power in the secret mandala increased sharply to 5,304 points. After absorbing the divine spring, the originally empty divine power was suddenly filled. In addition, the number of suns in the secret mandala also increased from 4 to 5. At this moment, the sun has not yet come out, and the entire secret mandala is already as big as a city, and it is even more lively. On the arch of the Spirit World Temple, there is another vivid relief of the Dream Master, and the arch seems to have become a little bigger. To advance to the 6 Yang realm, the upper limit of divine power needs to exceed 6,930 points, and the new divine power is 1,680 points. Just this level is more divine power than the summoner needs to advance from level 0 to the 2 Yang realm. As rare world beads become increasingly difficult to obtain, the advancement path for a summoner after the 5 Yang realm will become increasingly difficult with every step. Needless to say, if you want to advance to the 7 Suns realm, the upper limit of your divine power must exceed at least 8,820 points. For most summoners, this is almost an impossible task in a lifetime. What's more, there are several great realms after the 7 Yang realm, as well as the conferred gods. Thinking of this, Xiaopinggan admired the man in the iron mask in his heart. That guy is quite perverted. He has no background, but he rushed to the 7 Suns realm by relying on a spiritual crystal mine in the void secret realm. It's just like cheating. He muttered something in his mouth. Xiaopinggan moved his hand, took out his clothes and started to put them on. The more people stand at a high place, the more they understand how difficult it is to stand at a high place. Standing on the peaks of the 5 Yang realm, and looking towards the path of the summoner's practice, I found that the peaks in front of me were towering into the clouds. Compared with the realms behind, the 5 Yang realm seemed to have just begun. The journey of cultivation is long and seems to be endless. After getting dressed, Xiaopinggan looked at the time on his pocket watch. It was now past 2 o'clock in the morning, when everyone was asleep in the dead of night. There were still 3 Dream Master world beads in the box that had not been fused, so Xiaopinggan was not in a hurry. He took the box containing the world beads back into the space warehouse, then sat cross-legged on the bed and slowly closed his eyes. Xiaopinggan's figure appeared in the spiritual world temple of the secret mandala. This time, he did not hesitate anymore. He just glanced at the huge golden arch. The next second, he stepped in with one step. The form disappeared into the spiritual world temple. The feeling of walking through the golden arches is indescribable. It is as if the whole body has passed through a thin layer of mist and then entered a weightless space. The whole body suddenly loses weight. There is gray mist all around, and the so-called spiritual world seems to be a world composed of gray mist. The spiritual world temple stood like a castle in this world filled with gray mist, looking extremely abrupt, with the huge golden arch right behind him. Is there no one in this world? As soon as this idea flashed through Xiaopinggan's head, Xiaopinggan saw the gray fog rolling around him. The gray fog in the sky rolled and dispersed, and then he saw the extremely deep night sky and the stars and light clusters all over the sky. The stars and light groups in the sky are of various colors, colorful, red, yellow, green, blue, purple. The groups of brilliance are condensed in the sky, blinking, rising and falling. Most of the light clusters are alone, but some light clusters and stars will emit brilliance from each other in the sky and shine on each other, complementing each other. So brilliant. Among those stars and light groups, the most colorful ones are ordinary stars that shine with a little white light. As long as you raise your head, the stars and light groups in the sky seem to be within reach. What are these stars and light clusters? Xiaoping's second question appeared in his mind. Then, an even more incredible scene appeared. Almost as soon as the question appeared in his mind, Xiaoping saw a slightly familiar face appear behind the pale star closest to him. Yangzi, that killer. Do those stars represent people? Xiaoping was slightly shocked. Also, why does this world seem to know what is thinking in one's head? If one just thinks a thought in his head, the world will react and change, just like in a dream, except that the stars are so high and so far away from the ground. Far away, how can we get it? As soon as this thought appeared, the star with the aura of fire and rhinoceros suddenly grew larger in front of Xiaoping's eyes, as if falling from the sky. It suddenly got closer to Xiaoping and floated above the ground. Within reach. It was a huge pale white light group with a diameter of more than 10 meters. After zooming in, Xiaoping could faintly see that there were many figures flashing in the light group like a three-dimensional movie being projected. Xiaoping gently touched it with his hand, and his whole body suddenly entered the light group. Within the light group, it was like another world, with some extremely weird things happening. Xiaoping saw a familiar scene in the light group. It was in the secret room of Zhougong Tower. Yan 11 suddenly came out of the wall and saw himself merging the world pearl and surrounded by a cocoon of light. Xiaoping, let me see if you can survive this time. Yan 11 laughed wildly, and a fire dragon blasted out, directly blasting himself into pieces in the cocoon of light, and then Yan 11 laughed wildly. But in the blink of an eye, the red crushed dregs condensed into the appearance of Xiaoping, and they fought in the secret room with the gnashing Yan 11. Could it be that the scene in front of him was Yan 11's dream at the moment? This ball of light is the spirit body of Yan 11. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 316. It seems that this little black pig has been so suppressed in the past 2 days that he even dreams about revenge. Xiaoping looked at Yan 11 gnashing his teeth and wishing to cut himself into pieces, and suddenly felt like laughing in his heart. It would be abnormal if this guy didn't hate himself after being turned into a pig. But Xiaoping also felt a little strange. He had entered Yan 11's dream. He was standing in the basement in Yan 11's dream, watching as if watching a strange performance, but Yan 11 was completely clueless. Sleep. Xiaoping is not sure what his current ability is, but what he is sure of is that it seems to be much more advanced than simple dream acting. Dream acting only makes other people's dreams manifest, but now I am in other people's dreams. There must be a huge gap between the two abilities. By the way, I wonder if I can control other people's dreams. Just like when I was outside just now, as soon as I thought about it, the spiritual world immediately changed. This thought flashed through Xiaoping's mind. He looked at Yan 11 who was fighting vigorously and cut off one of the hands of Xiaoping in the dream. A thought suddenly came to his mind. Can he turn Yan 11 into a pig? Just as this idea appeared, in the dream, Yan 11, who was laughing maniacally and smashing Xiaoping again, suddenly turned into a little black pig in a puff of smoke, and instantly lost all his magic. Yan 11's wild laughter suddenly stopped. How could this happen? How could this happen? Change me back. I don't want to be a pig. Yan 11, who had turned into a little black pig, roared strangely in his dream. Make him unable to speak. All of a sudden, Yan 11's strange roar turned into a pig's grunt. Xiaoping'an, who was in Yangzi's dream, suddenly became happy and almost laughed. It turned out that it was really possible. As long as he thought about something, something would appear in other people's dreams. Everything in this spiritual world seemed to be like nothing. It's like a dream. Whatever you think in your mind, it comes to you. It's interesting, interesting. Yangzi, Yangzi, enjoy it. Xiaoping'an began to create plots. When Xiaoping'an had an idea, everything in the dream was changing. The fragmented Xiaoping'an figure condensed again little by little. Then, Luo Laojiao and his dog also appeared in the secret room. Luo Laojiao smiled sinisterly and held the surgery kit in his hand. Luo Laojiao's dog pounced out, biting the little black pig that Yangzi turned into in the secret room until it screamed and chased him wildly. Yangzi, who was so majestic just now, was now completely defeated in front of Luo Laojiao's dog. A ray is coming. Sir, let me help you. Luo Laojiao smiled sinisterly, beckoned and used a net to tie up Yangzi, then caught Yangzi, placed him on an operating table, and tied his hands and feet. This little black pig is so rebellious, but it hasn't been gelded yet. Once it is gelded, it will be better behaved in the future. Yan 11 screamed like a pig on the operating table, but the sharp and cold scalpel in Luo Laojiao's hand still began to make a cut in his key parts and began to perform cruel and inhumane surgery on him. Xiaoping'an in the dream made a big pot and started to boil water. The water in the big pot started to boil all of a sudden. Then he said to Luo Laojiao, the gelding pig is delicious. You should cook it first. It gelded, then fattened it up and then threw it into a pot to remove its hair. Why are we beating teeth and eating it bit by bit today? Let Yan 11 enjoy the one-stop service in his dream. Xiaoping'an withdrew from Yan 11's dream as soon as he thought about it. The spiritual world is still this spiritual world, and Xiaoping'an is becoming more and more interested in this world. At the same time, in the real world, the little black pig who was sleeping in the kitchen of the small courtyard stiffened up and let out a slight howl intermittently. There was a look of panic on his face, and his body trembled from time to time. Twitch and start entering nightmare mode. Xiaoping'an looked up, and the stars and light clusters in the sky were still twinkling. The world was full of rolling gray fog, full of magic. There was a yellow star closest to Yan 11. As soon as Xiaoping'an thought about it, the yellow star fell from the sky and appeared in front of Xiaoping'an. Xiaoping'an stretched out his hand to touch the star, and immediately felt the message of the star. This star was the spirit body of the bodyguard guarding the courtyard of a house next to the house he rented in Changle Lane. The bodyguard guarding the courtyard was called Shui Biao's cultivation has reached the Yang realm. Xiaoping'an wanted to try to enter this person's dream, and found that there was a layer of hard energy guarding the outside of this person's spirit body, like a wall. It was no longer as easy as when he entered Yan 11's spirit body just now. It's strange, Yangzi is also a master of the 6 Yang realm, how come he can enter his dream at will? Could it be that he was transformed into a pig body by his own sealing technique, so that he could easily enter his dream? Xiaoping'an waved his hand, and the yellow star suddenly flew into the sky again. Next to it was a star that glowed white like Yangzi. Xiaoping'an thought, and the star suddenly fell from the sky and appeared in front of Xiaoping'an. Xiaoping'an reached out and touched it, and immediately entered the star. The owner of the star is the coachman in the compound next door, an ordinary man in his 30s. As soon as Xiaoping'an entered, he found that the coachman was dreaming of a date and shopping with the maid named Xiaoqi in the palace, and he was so happy. Xiaoping'an gently withdrew from the dream, and the white star suddenly flew into the sky again. There was an ordinary star next to it. When Xiaoping'an had an idea, the star fell again. Xiaopinggan went inside and found that the owner of the star was a cook in the courtyard next door. The cook was dreaming that he had become the summoner, in his dream, rejected the invitation of a beautiful lady to stay and was about to go out with a group of companions. Everyone's dreams are colorful. Withdrawing from this star, Xiaopinggan summoned several stars of different colors next to him to try, and gradually concluded something. Except for Yangtze, those white ordinary stars represent the spirit bodies of ordinary people without cultivation. The dreams of these ordinary people can be easily entered by themselves, with basically no obstacles. And those colored stars represent the spirits of summoners and warriors. The spiritual bodies of warriors are usually red or crimson, with only one layer. Their dreams are not easy for you to enter. The color of the summoner's spirit body is colorful and will change, but the colorful colors do not represent the realm, but more like their physical state or emotional state at the moment. What truly represents the summoner's cultivation is the spirit body. There is only one protective layer for those in the one yang realm and those under the one yang realm, 2 layers for those in the 2 yang realm, 3 layers for those in the 3 yang realm, and so on. The protective layer outside the summoner's spirit body contains the aura of the 3 foundation building world beads and the secret mandala, forming a powerful protection that can easily block him from the outside and prevent him from entering their dreams. Although the protective layer outside the spirit of a warrior is stronger than that of ordinary people, he can also enter it and affect their dreams. The dream demon controls ordinary people. Could it be that he enters the dreams of ordinary people in this way and turns others into his puppets? If so, then is this the channel through which the dream demon can enter the dreams of others? The spirit world, Xiaopinggan murmured to himself, his spirit suddenly shaken. If that's the case, then you should be able to find the dream demon through the spirit world. You can try it yourself. The more Xiaopinggan thought about it, the more he felt it should be like this. Why the dream demon is so weird and why no one can locate the dream demon is because the dream demon invades and controls others through the spiritual world and never shows up, so no one can know the dream demon's identity. If you want to enter the spirit world, you must fuse at least 18 Dream Master World beads. There are only 13 Dream Master World beads with Divine Thoughts crystals, but this does not mean that others will never be able to fuse 18. Demonic dreams he has his own opportunities and means. Xiaopinggan suddenly started running in the spirit world. Running here is effortless. Xiaopinggan is running on the ground of the spirit world like flying, passing through layers of gray fog, exploring the environment of the spirit world. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 317. The land of the spiritual world is like an endless wilderness shrouded in gray mist that will never end. Xiaopinggan was running in this wilderness, driving away the layers of fog. Wherever Xiaopinggan went, as soon as he thought, the surrounding gray fog dispersed in large swaths, revealing the appearance of the surrounding environment. Xiaopinggan wanted to try to see if he could fly, but unfortunately, as he thought, he only felt the wind lingering around him in circles, blowing away the gray mist, but his body was still unable to fly, and it seemed that he was still a little short of it. So he just ran on the ground honestly. No matter how Xiaopinggan ran, he could clearly feel the location of the Golden Arch and the spiritual world temple where he entered the spiritual world, which made him no longer have to worry about getting lost. After running for a while, Xiaopinggan discovered that there was a huge bulge on the originally flat and monotonous ground in front of him, forming a large mound of soil dozens of meters high. This made Xiaopinggan very excited and ran to the slope. Xiaopinggan was shocked, because he saw a dark coffin and a collapsed giant tree on the mound. The collapsed giant trees were like poplars that had been dried for thousands of years in the desert. They had an ancient atmosphere and were hard to the touch. The coffin was carved out of a section of the trunk of a huge tree that had collapsed nearby. It looked a bit rough. There was also a human-shaped skeleton lying in the coffin. The clothes on the skeleton had rotted away like ashes, exposing the bones inside. Everything seemed so weird. Xiaoping'an suddenly took a breath of air. Just now he thought that only he and the dream demon could enter this spiritual world, just like a strange dream, and no one would die in the spiritual world, but now it seems that this is not the case at all. The stars and light groups in the sky are spiritual bodies. He might not die, but in his current state, he might die. There have been people here before, and the people here will also die. If you are hurt here, you may die and become like the bones in the coffin. Like a basin of cold water poured on his head, Xiaoping'an's restless heart suddenly calmed down. He only wanted to find the dream demon. However, if he met the dream demon now and the dream demon found him, would he be killed by him? Kill it here? Becoming like that skeleton? It's hard to say. Xiaoping'an looked at the bones in the coffin and found that although the bones in the coffin were covered with a layer of ashes, the color of the bones under the ashes seemed a little abnormal. He gently stretched out his hand and wiped the ashes on the ribs of the bones. And suddenly discovered that the bones of the skeleton were actually golden. He knocked lightly and found that the bones were like gold and iron. He didn't know how many years they had been lying here, but they had not corroded at all. Whose bones are actually golden? Is this a golden body? Next to the golden skeleton, there was a long sheathed sword. The sword was like a tang sword, more than 3 feet long. Next to the long sword, there is a token. Xiaoping'an took out the long sword and token, and gently pulled out the long sword. He found that the long sword was somewhat rusty, but it was still usable, and the blade was still sharp. The token was like black iron, with 2 lines of small seal characters engraved on it. On one line of small seal characters are the 3 characters shepherd, and on the other line of small seal characters are only the 2 characters suju. Shepherd should be the identity of the owner of this golden skeleton, and suju should be this person's name or code name. There was something unusual about this skeleton and this coffin. Xiaoping'an carefully searched around the coffin. Suddenly, outside the coffin, at the position where the head of the skeleton pointed, he saw some carvings on the coffin. Xuanhuan. The spiritual mountain has collapsed, the dominant demon god has annihilated everything, the ruler of the spiritual world, the spiritual mentor of all shepherds, the lord of dreams, the shepherd guardian of all spirits, has fallen, the throne of God has been covered with dust. The shepherds stick to their oath, they will shepherd and guard all the spirits in the sky in this spiritual world that has turned into a wilderness, fight to the end, Suju. These words brought a huge amount of information to Xiaoping'an. This information shows at least 2 things. This spiritual world did not seem to be like this before, but was guarded by God. These pastors were the subordinates of that God. It was the dominant demon god who turned this world into this. But, why do the spiritual beings in the sky need the protection of these shepherds? Xiaoping'an didn't understand. Regardless, this shows that exploration in the spiritual world is rewarding. Xiaoping'an put away Suju's token, kept it in his arms, took his sword, and carefully left the mound. While thinking, Xiaoping'an did not let the grey mist around him completely disperse. Instead, he let the grey mist wrap around his body. He hid in the grey mist and continued to search. This time, Xiaoping'an was much more hidden. From a distance, it was almost impossible to spot him. The mist was hazy, like a layer of veil, and apart from a slight reduction in visibility, it had little effect. After leaving the mound, Xiaoping'an searched for a while and saw a tall building in front of him, blurry in the mist, standing in the wilderness like a castle. Xiaoping'an approached and found that it was really a tall castle. The castle was like a rock that had been weathered for thousands of years, carrying vicissitudes of life, and some parts had collapsed. Half of the tower at the entrance of the castle collapsed, but 2 words can still be seen faintly at the entrance, Muling Castle. Xiaoping'an drew his sword and cautiously approached from the entrance of the castle. Entering the castle, you will find that there is a long dark passage inside. On both sides of the passage there are ancient stone statues holding weapons. Each of those stone statues is more than 3 meters high. They are dark and powerful. Many of the stone statues have been damaged, but they are still there. Some stone statues are still in good condition. Just after walking more than 10 meters, Xiaoping's body was covered with cold hair. Without even thinking, he rolled on the spot and threw himself forward. Then a huge stone mace hit him from the top of his head. "Come down." With a boom, a large crater more than half a foot deep was made on the ground, and dust flew into the sky. A stone statue on both sides of the passage started to move. Its body was turning, and pieces of dust fell from the stone statue. As soon as the stone statue moved, the other stone statues also started to move, and even the incomplete stone statues also moved. Each of them turned their heads and looked at Xiaoping with empty eyes. The scene in front of him almost made Xiaoping turn around and run away, but just when the stone statues were surrounding him, Xiaoping suddenly found that the Suju token in his arms was a little hot, and he quickly get that token out. The pitch-black token emits a faint golden brilliance. As soon as the golden light appeared, the stone statues that had started to move suddenly stopped and began to return to their original positions. This token is a pass to enter the abandoned castle, Xiaoping understood. Seeing that the stone statues didn't move anymore, Xiaoping directly hung the token on his waist and continued to walk inside carefully. Through the passage filled with stone statues, there is a square inside the castle. Seeing the square, Xiaoping gasped again, because the square in the castle was filled with coffins, and hundreds of coffins piled up in the castle. Walking up to those coffins and looking into the coffins, inside those coffins, there were also golden and light golden skeletons whose clothes had completely decayed. There are many rooms on the first floor of the castle. The layout is similar to that of a normal castle. In those rooms, there are furniture and furnishings that have completely decayed like dust. The whole castle is lifeless, just like a haunted house. No, the haunted house is at least still there. There is a ghost, there is nothing in this castle, there is no creature or breath of life, it is as old as a stone. There was nothing on the first floor of the castle. Xiaoping followed the corridor of the castle and touched the second floor of the castle. The second floor is similar to the first floor, but there is a huge, completely open room here, which is a little different. There are also 3 words on the outside of the room, Pastoral Hall. Xiaoping entered the pastoral hall and found that the entire pastoral hall was unusually spacious. There were no furnishings in the entire hall. Only in the middle of the hall stood a few dusty black stone tablets as tall as a person. Xiaoping came to the first stone tablet, lightly swept the dust on the stone tablet, and saw 3 small seal characters carved on the top of the stone tablet, Dream Enlightenment Technique. Seeing these 3 words, Xiaoping was slightly startled. There are only these 3 words on the stone tablet, but below these 3 words, the stone tablet is empty. There are no other words. Only in the middle part of the stone tablet, there is a sunken palm print, which is about the size of a person's palm with 5 fingers spread out. Then blow away the dust on the stone tablet next to it. There are also 3 small seal characters on the stone tablet next to it, Dream Puppetry. There are no words on this stone tablet, only a sunken palm print in the middle of the stone tablet. After sweeping away the dust on the 3rd stone tablet next to it, several more small seal characters were revealed, Nightmare Slaying Sword. The 3 small seal characters on the 4th stone tablet read, Spiritual Searching Technique. The 3 small seal characters on the 5th stone tablet are, Dream Making. These 5 stone tablets stand in this hall. There are no words on the tablets, only a sunken palm print in the middle of each stone tablet. Xiaoping looked around the stone tablets for a while, thought about it, and finally reached out and pressed his hand on the depression in the middle of the stone tablet that read Dream Enlightenment Technique. After waiting for a few seconds, the small seal characters on the black stone tablet began to light up and turned into gold, but in the blink of an eye, the golden characters dimmed again like an extinguished light bulb. But a piece of information also appeared in Xiaoping's mind: fusing 18 Dream Master World beads can open the door to the spiritual world temple, but only after fusing 22 Dream Master World beads can one enter the shepherd's castle. Learn these basic skills of a pastor. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 318. We are about to start the army. My dream yesterday was a bit strange. I would like to ask you, sir, to help me realize my dream and see if it is good or bad. Li Yuan, Emperor Jiaozu of the Tang dynasty, called Xiaoping to the study and said to Xiaoping worriedly, "I wonder what my lord is dreaming about." Xiaoping at this moment is Lu Wenjing, the counselor next to Li Yuan. "I dreamed last night that I was sleeping in bed, but suddenly I rolled down from the bed, and then maggots all over the floor crawled towards me. It was so disgusting and scary that I woke up with a fright. I didn't know whether this dream was good or bad." Xiaoping glanced at Li Yuan. Li Yuan's expression could not be said to be good, but a little worried. Today, all the heroes in the world are rising up, and the Li family is about to start an army, but Li Yuan suddenly had such a dream. It is understandable that he is worried. Xiaoping just pretended to ponder for a moment, and then said to Li Yuan, "Congratulations, Lord, congratulations, Lord." Li Yuan was stunned. "What's so gratifying? This dream is auspicious. My lord rolled down from the bed. That is His Majesty's wish. Maggots are crawling on his body. That is the wish of the world. Your Majesty's dream reminds me of something. I have heard that Yang Guang did something when he ascended the throne. A dream about flooding the Jinluan Palace. Later, he thought this dream was unlucky, so he built Daxing City and moved the capital to Daxing. Combined with your Majesty's dream, Yang Guang's dream of flooding the Jinluan Palace coincided with the character Yuan for his lord. This time, the Lord, if we raise an army, we will definitely win a great victory and establish an eternal foundation for the Li family." When Li Yuan heard what Xiaoping said, his face suddenly glowed red and he became energetic. Okay, I feel relieved." The world of Jizu suddenly shattered. After receiving the divine power to cut down the body, Xiaoping slowly opened his eyes in the secret room. In the gift box, only the world bead from Yan Ying's dream interpretation that he had fused was left. He had already fused all the other world beads. This last fierce master world bead provided Xiaoping with 38 points of divine power. The upper limit of divine power in the secret mandala has increased to 5,418 points at this time. On the golden arch of the spiritual world temple, there are already 22 complete dream reliefs. Xiaoping breathed a long sigh of relief. Now he should be able to enter again. In the spirit world, go to Shepherding Castle to learn the secrets of the spirit world. The next second, Xiaoping's figure appeared in the spirit world temple of the secret mandala. Xiaoping didn't hesitate at all. He stepped into the tall golden arch in one step and entered the spirit world again. What happened? Xiaoping, who entered the spirit world again, thought he was in the wrong place. The bright starry light group that filled the sky had almost disappeared when it came in again this time. Only 2 or 3 solitary stars were still there, blinking. Xiaoping looked up, and a few of the few lonely stars that were still there slowly disappeared under his eyes. The spiritual world is pitch black. You can't go wrong. The spiritual world is still the spiritual world. But why do those stars and light groups in the sky disappear? Xiaoping thought for a moment, and suddenly realized, could it be, it was getting bright at this moment, and most people outside were getting up and waking up, so those stars disappeared. Those stars should represent the spirit body after a person is asleep. The spirit body will appear in this world after the person is asleep and experience various strange dreams. Once the person wakes up, the spirit body will naturally leave this world. Without the light from the sky, the gray mist that filled the entire spiritual world seemed to have turned into black mist. It was impossible to see even one's fingers, and the visibility was pitifully low. The summoner's ability to see in the dark was useless here. Xiaoping'an just remembered Mu. The general direction of Lingbao makes it much more difficult to find Muling Castle in such a dark environment and the wilderness of the spiritual world. Thinking of the long swords carried by the shepherds and the stone sculptures guarding the castle in the shepherd's castle, Xiaoping'an hesitated for a moment while looking at the dark mist. The long sword is a weapon used for fighting, and those stone sculptures are also the layout and security measures used by the shepherds to resist intruders in the castle. If this spiritual world is not dangerous, and there are no dangerous and deadly things, long swords and stone sculptures should not be used. Appear. It hasn't been long since I entered the spirit world, and I don't know what is in the black mist. So, to be on the safe side, if I enter again tonight, I will have time, and it will only take half a day. With this in mind, Xiaoping'an retreated directly from the spirit world and left the underground secret room. After walking out of the underground secret room, Xiaoping'an heard the chirping of birds in the yard outside. The bright morning sunshine had shone in through the flower window of the living room. Dots of shining gold spots were stuck to the wall of the living room, indicating that it's another nice day today. Last night, I fused so many world beads and went to the spirit world for a short walk. The whole night just passed by. Xiaoping'an walked into the yard and saw the iron-masked man holding a handful of wheat and feeding a few birds with great interest. The little black pig was in the sun. The whole pig looked a lot wilted, and his eyes were wide open. He was afraid that he would fall asleep again as soon as he closed his eyes. When he heard a noise, he saw Xiaoping'an coming from the living room. When he walked out, the little black pig's body trembled, fear flashed in his eyes, and his whole body couldn't help but shrank back into the corner. The Fuchsian boy who was riding on the little pig chuckled. The nightmare last night left the little black pig with lingering fear. When he saw Xiaoping'an again, he almost felt psychological shadow. In reality, it was okay to fall into Xiaoping'an's hands. He didn't expect that even in his dream, he would be turned into a pig by Xiaoping'an. Suffering all kinds of inhuman abuse, it was like going around in hell. Seeing Xiaoping'an coming out, the iron-masked man threw all the wheat in his hands to the birds, turned his head and glanced at Xiaoping'an. The eyes behind the mask moved. "Congratulations, congratulations." Xiaoping'an knew that he couldn't hide it from the man in the iron mask, so he said modestly, "Just so, I still need to learn more from you. Where did you get so many world beads?" "Haha, I met a nobleman yesterday, and he gave it to me as a gift." The man in the iron mask was speechless. This is why people are so infuriating. Now the capital has begun to control a class of materials. Even if you have money, you may not be able to buy a boundary bead. How difficult is it for others to get a boundary bead? This guy actually has someone. A lot of world beads were sent. Let's go get something to eat. I'm a little hungry. Xiaoping'an said, touching his stomach that started to growl, and walked towards the gate of the yard. Having just advanced to the Five Yang realm, Xiaoping'an feels that he can eat a pig now. When walking out of the yard, a thought flashed through Xiaoping'an's head. Are those 22 Dream Master World Pearls all the Dream Master World Pearls? There are many allusions to ancient people's interpretation of dreams in his mind, and those 22 are only part of them, and the 22 Dream Master World Pearls do not appear in any specific pattern, and they do not look like the end at all. More importantly, the information Xiaoping'an got is that the magic skills in the spiritual world in the shepherd's castle are only the basic skills of the shepherd in the spiritual world. Those basic skills are the fusion of 22 Dream Master World beads. You can learn it. On top of those basic skills, there should be higher level skills. The skills of the shepherds should be more than this. I don't know if you need to integrate more dreams to learn higher level skills. Master World Pearl? There were carriages from the 4 major carriage shops in Donggang district waiting outside the alley. The 2 of them and 1 pig got on the carriage directly. Xiaopinggan asked the coachman to have breakfast at the most famous tea house nearby. Brother Iron Mask, tell me, in addition to the rare world beads we know, are there some world beads we don't know about that are even rarer than the rare ones? Sitting in the carriage, looking at the carriage as he started running, Xiaopinggan casually asked the man in iron mask. Of course, the iron-faced man said without thinking, the so-called rare world beads are only in small quantities, but they can be obtained repeatedly. It is not a secret, but on top of the rare world beads, there are some other world beads. And even rarer ones, called secret pearls, almost never appear on the market. Xiaopinggan suddenly became energetic. Is there such a world bead? Of course there is. I used to be in a secret realm of the void and saw someone obtain a world bead that has never been recorded in the comprehensive spectrum of world pearls. That is the secret pearl world bead. The number of secret pearl world beads is too rare. It is estimated that the average summoner will rarely encounter two identical secret world pearls in his lifetime. Those who obtain the secret pearl world pearl will either take risks to fuse it themselves, or they will quietly find channels to take action. Everything is kept secret and no one else knows. Has no summoner taken out the secret pearl world pearl and announced it to the public after obtaining it? Yes, but there are very few people like this, the iron masked man asked. If you got a secret world pearl worth tens of thousands, would you take it out and let others know about it? Xiaopinggan thought for a while and shook his head. That's it? Whether it is the secret method brought by the secret world pearl or its value, it is determined that it will not be known to too many people. The more secret the better. How to get those secret world beads? Of course, in the secret realm of the void, it is said that there are the most secret pearls behind the demon section. Xiaopinggan nodded, thoughtfully. After a while, the carriage arrived at the tea house where breakfast was served. The little black pig was also hungry and wanted to follow him into the tea house, but was blocked by the waiter at the door of the tea house. Ahem, these two guests, our tea house does not allow guests to bring pets in. The tea house clerk didn't know the identities of Xiaopinggan and the iron-masked man, but seeing the two people's extraordinary demeanor, he still explained politely. Xiaopinggan asked the little black pig to wait on the carriage, and he and the man in the iron mask entered the tea house. Breakfast almost turned into a feast for Xiaopinggan. Xiaopinggan ate enough for 5 people by himself. All he ordered were the most expensive and filling items in the tea house. It took him an hour to finish breakfast. For breakfast, I brought out a basket of Bajhan shrimp dumplings, and the total cost was less than 2 gold coins. Back on the carriage, Xiaopinggan took out the Bajhan shrimp dumplings, and the little black pig pounced on it. He didn't care about his image as a master. He ate whatever the pig wanted. Half an hour later, the carriage slowly arrived outside the Donggang Inspectorate. The streets were still the same as yesterday, with a somewhat tense atmosphere and police patrols everywhere. Xiaopinggan and the man in the iron mask had just gotten off the carriage and were about to enter the inspection office. A policeman patrolling the street next to the inspection office suddenly took out his pistol and shot Xiaopinggan several times in the head and back. Gunshots rang out and there was chaos on the street. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 319. The moment the policeman pulled out his gun, the man in the iron mask and the lucky boy noticed him almost at the same time. The god of fortune boy warned Xiaopinggan, and the iron-masked man was indeed a master of the Seven Sun realm. He immediately arranged a thick water curtain around Xiaopinggan and himself. Xiaopinggan turned around, and the bullet was already shooting towards him. Pot, 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 pot. The crisp sound of gunshots resounded in the street, suddenly breaking the order and tranquility on the street. The policeman shot at Xiaopinggan and rushed towards Xiaopinggan. His face was numb, but there was a hint of ferocity in the numbness. What the policeman shot was not an ordinary bullet, but a rune bullet. The rune bullet hit the water curtain set up by the man in the iron mask, bursting out into brilliant balls of high-temperature flames, igniting the surrounding air. Just under Xiaoping's eyes, the copper bullet penetrated into the rippling water curtain, and was still spinning at high speed in the water curtain, like an awl, trying to break free from the shackles of the water curtain shield. Ordinary bullets float away in the blink of an eye and lose all their power. The killing distance of ordinary pistol bullets in water is less than half a meter, but the bullets fired by the policeman made the water curtain used by the man in the iron mask look like deformed jelly. Constantly changing its shape, the bullets continued to rush forward in the water unyieldingly. This is a rune bullet with added fireball and armor-piercing effects. Even if Xiaoping is a summoner in the 5-yang realm or even the 6-yang realm, once he is hit by such a bullet, his body will be pierced instantly and burned by the flames that can melt steel. He will be seriously injured even if he does not die. Xiaoping's color changed slightly. The man in the iron mask lightly stomped his feet, and a ray of light flashed under the feet of the policeman who rushed over. The policeman was instantly fixed in place, and then a large net made of water ropes flew over, trapping the policeman. The policeman fell to the ground, the 9 bullets in his pistol having just been discharged. The next second, the policeman who fell to the ground rolled his eyes and fainted. The whole process only takes 2 or 3 seconds. Pedestrians on the street ran away in panic, and other police patrols and soldiers from the garrison were alerted, and they all rushed towards here. People in the Donggang inspection office were also alerted. Luo Laojiao was the first to run out of the concierge, and then Long Chao, Sidu Hua and others also ran out of the inspection office. If someone shoots outside the inspection office and no one inside the inspection office knows about it, then all the summoners in the inspection office will be freeloaders. The street suddenly became chaotic. Xiaoping ignored those who rushed over. He just stretched out his hand and gently took out a stopped brass bullet from the water curtain in front of him. Then he turned and walked towards the inspectorate. Passing by Long when he was waiting for someone, he said with a calm face, "First take the person to the inspectorate for interrogation." "Yes." Long Chao and Sidu Hua rushed outside and saw that a large piece of the ground where Xiaoping had just been assassinated had been melted by the high-temperature fireball. Even half of the wrought iron gate of the inspectorate had turned into molten iron. His expression changed at the same time. The assassin came to the inspectorate, so brave. Half an hour later, Long Chao, Sidu Hua, Hua Zikan, Fan Gang, Fang Nu and others gathered in Xiaoping's office. Their faces were both worried and angry. The assassin actually ran to the door of the Donggang inspectorate to assassinate the Donggang inspector. This was simply a humiliation and disregard for all the summoners in the Donggang inspectorate. If something happens to Xiaoping at the gate of the supervisory office, they and others will become the laughing stock of the judgment army, and their reputation will follow them for the rest of their lives. Therefore, everyone had reason to be angry and were waiting for Xiaoping's order. Everyone knew that their inspector was not someone who could tolerate suffering. These people didn't know that Xiaoping also suffered a dangerous assassination in the supervision office yesterday, and almost turned into sand under the poison of the black evil. Xiaoping's face was calmer than the captains expected. Xiaoping, who was sitting behind the desk, was gently turning and playing with a copper warhead in his hand, his eyes deep. "Sir, the policeman who stabbed him has woken up, but no matter how we interrogate him, he keeps crying out for injustice, saying that he doesn't know anything, and asking why we arrested him. I suggest that the man be tortured immediately and use the confession potion. We must catch the mastermind behind this," Long Chao angrily reported to Xiaoping. "No need to bother, that policeman is just a controlled puppet, he can't help himself, just hand him over to the police," Xiaoping said calmly. The person who took action was still a dream demon, and his methods were the same as those used to control Wei Miu. The policeman probably didn't know where the rune bullets in his gun came from. "Sir, Do you already know who took action? Huazikan asked with a raised eyebrow. Well, I probably know a little bit, but I don't know where that guy is hiding. If I need to take action, I will tell everyone. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Everything in the inspectorate is as usual. Okay, everyone goes to work. These days there is some chaos in the capital. Each time we go out to patrol, we will arrange 2 teams. If we encounter any summoners or restless ones who harass and harm the people, we will deal with them severely. The team captains looked at each other, answered yes, and left Xiaopinggan's office one after another. This is not the answer. After those people left, the iron-faced man appeared in Xiaopinggan's office and shook his head gently. You can't always be wary of everyone around you. If this continues, even if you don't die, you will probably go crazy. Even I don't have the ability to maintain a high alert state anytime and anywhere. If you don't find that dream demon, you will be dead if you are careless. It doesn't matter. Let that guy be arrogant for 2 more days. At worst, I will stay in seclusion for the next few days and see what he can do. Seeing that Xiaopinggan was not nervous and seemed to have everything in mind, the man in the iron mask stopped talking and went back to his room. Not long after the iron-masked man left, Wei Miu knocked on the door and came in. Sir, someone from Pengwang Auction House is here and wants to give you something. Oh, let the people from King Peng Auction House come in. Yes. A moment later, a man wearing a black dress that Xiaopinggan had seen at the auction house came to the office with a box in his hand. After saying hello to Xiaopinggan, he opened the suitcase and took out a box from the suitcase. Place it in front of Xiaopinggan. Sir, this is the world pearl you bought at the VIP auction that night. I brought it to you. Xiaopinggan opened the box and took a look. Inside, there was a world bead flashing with light red brilliance. The words Prince Yan Dan flashed in the world bead, and there was also a spiritual mind crystal to match. This is also the assassin world pearl. If it can be fused, it can allow Xiaopinggan to summon a 2nd-level assassin. The 2nd-level assassin is much more powerful than the 1st-level assassin. This world bead was one that Xiaopinggan bought at Pengwang Auction House that night. Just by looking at the words on this world bead, Xiaopinggan knew that this world bead should be used to allow the fusion person to reproduce the prince pill to win over Jing Ke and make Jing Ke finally willing to die to assassinate Qin. The divine sense crystal that matched the assassin's world pearl did not appear at the auction that night. Is this the only one? Your Excellency bid 40,000 gold coins for the giant world bead in the auction house that night. After you left, someone bid 42,500 gold coins and it was sold, so you didn't get it. Okay, I get it. I didn't expect you to give me a spiritual mind crystal. Now that I'm interested, how much does it cost in total? Xiaopinggan said and was about to take out the golden ticket. MRS, if nothing happens, I'll take my leave. Okay, please say hello to MRS Xian for me. Xiaopinggan accepted the assassin's world pearl without being polite. Not long after that person left, when Xiaopinggan was playing with the Yan Prince Pill assassin's world pearl, Wei Miu knocked on the door again and came in to report that a man claimed to be ordered by Lord Linyi to deliver something to Xiaopinggan. Xiaopinggan asked someone to come in. After the person came in, he was very straightforward. He took out a suitcase from the space equipment and placed it in front of Xiaopinggan. After asking Xiaopinggan to sign for it, he turned around and left without saying a word. Opening the suitcase, there was a full 1 million gold tickets and 10 rare world beads in the suitcase. This was what Ji Yi promised to Xiaopinggan, and it was also delivered today. How come there are people queuing up to give you boundary beads? The figure of the iron-masked man appeared in Xiaopinggan's office. His eyes were a little red looking at the boundary beads and golden tickets in the box. Grandma, it's so exciting to be with this guy Xiaopinggan. Last night, this guy just advanced to the 5 Yang realm. Early this morning, people were lining up to give him boundary beads and golden tickets. Supervisor, is this position really so rewarding? Why didn't I know this before? If every inspector in Shangjing City was so nourishing, the inspectors of Qiyang Realm would be everywhere in Shangjing City. Xiaopingan smiled, this is character. As he spoke, Xiaopingan took out another gold ticket worth 100,000 gold coins from the box and handed it to the man in the iron mask. This is for you, you have worked hard these past 2 days. Seeing the golden ticket worth 100,000 gold coins go to the 2 small courtyards in the capital, the man with the iron mask still struggled slightly in his heart for a second, hesitating slightly between the strong man's self-esteem and the glory of the golden ticket, but in the end, before Xiaopingan's hand retracted, the man in the iron mask took the gold ticket of 100,000 gold coins, struggled again, and uttered 2 words, "Thank you." Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 320. Your Highness, this is. Jing Ke looked at what Xiaopingan was bringing up, with a look of astonishment on his face. Several attendants bowed and stood in front of Jing Ke. On the plates in their hands were 4 pairs of beautiful hands that were polished to perfection. Ha ha ha, didn't Jing Qing say a few days ago that the hands of the girl playing the piano were beautiful? These days, I have been looking for skilled craftsmen in Yan State, and asked those skilled craftsmen to use jade, gold, silver, and bronze according to the appearance of the girl playing the piano. I have carved and polished a pair of gold hands, a pair of silver hands, a pair of jade hands, and a pair of bronze hands. These 4 pairs, together with the woman playing the piano, I will give them to Jing Qing, so that Jing Qing can enjoy them in the future. Xiaopingan laughed loudly. Your Highness, why is this necessary? Jing Ke sighed as he looked at the 4 beautiful opponents and the gentle and beautiful woman playing the piano in front of him. Xiaopingan smiled, time flies, and beauties age easily. In a few years, these beautiful hands will not be so perfect and beautiful. I cast these 4 pairs of beautiful hands, but they can remain in the world for thousands of years. Wait until thousands of years later, you and I are no longer here, but these 4 opponents can still stay. When the world sees these 4 opponents, they all know what a beautiful hand can make Jing Qing like, and you and I can leave a good story for future generations. Jing Ke was moved. Such a gift was too special. He had never received it before. These days, Prince Dan built him a mansion, gave him beautiful women, and gave him gold and silver treasures. It was all a matter of course. However, these 4 opponents and Prince Dan's words just now revealed a sense of intention that made Jing Ke no longer nothing to say. Jing Ke thanked Your Highness. Jing Ke bowed heavily to Xiaopingan, then waved the woman playing the piano and several waiters to go down, and then said to Xiaopingan, I already understand His Highness's thoughts, but if you want to get close to assassinate King Qin, you need 2 more things. What else does Jing Qing need? We also need the head of Fan Yuki and the map of Dukang, the concubine. If I bring these 2 items to the King of Qin, I can make the King of Qin not suspicious and have a chance to get close to the King of Qin. Not long after, Jiju's world shattered, and Xiaopingan also opened his eyes in the lounge of the inspectorate. It is not difficult to fuse this world pearl. In real history, in order to win over Jing Ke, Prince Dan did a very cruel thing in the blink of an eye after Jing Ke praised the beautiful hand of the piano girl. He directly took the piano girl, the woman's hands were chopped off, and the beautiful woman's bloody hands were given to Jing Ke. In order to make Jing Ke sacrifice his life for him, Prince Dan has done everything he can to cut off the hand of a beautiful woman to send Jing Ke. This is actually not a gift, but a harvest, asking Jing Ke to use his own life in exchange for this favor. In the end, Jing Ke had to change. If he didn't change, he would become an ungrateful villain. Prince Dan is a hero. Xiaopingan did not cut off the 2 hands of the beautiful girl who played the piano. Even in this world pearl, he did not want to do such a thing. It is just a man who does what he wants and what he does not do. He summoned the skilled craftsmen of Yan State and made them exactly the same. He picked up 4 pairs of beautiful hands and gave them to Jingke together with the woman. Facts have proved that Jingke was still moved and was willing to assassinate Qin. The fusion of the world beads was completed. In the temple of the secret mandala, the relief that originally summoned the assassin suddenly expanded in a circle. In addition to Tianguang Lunyang, the relief also contained the story of Prince Dan sending the hand of a beauty to win over Jingke. The relief in the relief the assassin's summoning position has also changed somewhat, and the image of the assassin seems to be more nihilistic and cunning. This is the second-level assassin. This is the last world bead fused today. Xiaopinggan also integrated the 10 boundary beads sent by Ji Yi in one afternoon. To be honest, Ji Yi is still a bit stingy. Of the 10 world beads he sent, 8 were divine power beads and only 2 were magic world beads with summoning positions. Of the 2 magical world beads, one is Qin Muzhong lost his horse and the other is Uncle Yang taught the king of Chu archery. Qin Muzhong lost his horse allows Xiaopinggan to summon wilderness warriors, while Yang Yuji teaches the king of Chu archery allows Xiaopinggan to summon archers. Wilderness soldiers are more powerful than elite slave soldiers. Wilderness soldiers can fight like regular troops and have the skills of hunters. Back then, Duke Mu of Qin lost his beloved horse. As a result, his beloved horse was caught and eaten by a group of people living in the mountains. Then the officials of Qin state captured those who ate Duke Mu of Qin's beloved horse and sent him to go to Duke Mu of Qin and ask him to punish those people. Unexpectedly, after Duke Mu of Qin knew what had happened, he told those people that a gentleman does not harm others with animals. Eating horse meat without drinking alcohol can easily hurt others. He also gave wine to those in the mountains who ate his horses. Later, Duke Mu of Qin attacked Jin and was besieged by the Jin army. He was in danger. The people in the mountains who had eaten his horse and drank his wine heard the news and organized a death-defying commando of more than 300 people. Duke Mu of Qin rescued him from the siege of the Jin army and turned defeat into victory, creating a historical illusion and an eternal legend. However, as long as the divine power is sufficient, elite slave soldiers can be summoned unlimitedly, while wilderness warriors can only summon up to 360 people. For most of the day, Xiaopinggan integrated 11 more world beads in his own lounge of the inspectorate. The upper limit of the secret mandala's divine power reached 5,756 points, which was a little closer to the 6,930 points of the 6 Yang realm. Xiaopinggan walked out of the lounge. It was evening outside the window, and it was almost time for the inspectorate to get off work. Xiaopinggan called the man in the iron mask, took the little black pig with him, and left the inspection office directly. He went to the roadside outside and called a carriage to go to the Bank of Dashang State. More than an hour later, Xiaopinggan came out of Dashang Bank. Most of the gold tickets on his body had been replaced by gold coins and placed in his space warehouse. I randomly found a restaurant on a busy street that the carriage passed by and had a sumptuous dinner. When I returned to the small rented courtyard in Changle Lane, it was already dark. Xiaopinggan went back to his bedroom and had a good sleep. When he woke up a few hours later, it was already late at night. The sense of mental fatigue and chaos caused by the continuous fusion of dozens of world beads disappeared after a sleep, and Xiaopinggan walked out of his bedroom in high spirits. It was completely silent outside, only the sound of insects could be heard, and the whole yard was filled with moonlight from the sky. Xiaopinggan came to the living room and saw a masked man sitting in the dark living room, looking like it looked like a sculpture, and it even startled him. "Why don't you sleep? Why did you scare me?" Xiaopinggan said. "Aren't you asleep too?" "I just took a nap, now get up and go to the secret room to study the changes in the secret mandala." "Well, meditating here is just like sleeping." The man in the iron mask nodded slightly and stopped talking. Xiaopinggan didn't say anything, and went directly into the underground secret room, thinking in his heart that the 100,000 gold coins today were well spent. The iron-faced man took the gold coins and worked more diligently as a bodyguard, haha. A few minutes later, Xiaopingan entered the spirit world through the golden arch again. The spiritual world that comes at night seems to be like daytime, the sky is full of brilliance, the stars appear again, and everything in the entire spiritual world becomes vibrant again. Xiaopingan took the shepherd's belt card and longsword and quietly submerged into the grey mist. The spiritual world is completely different from the real world. Xiaopingan has tried before. The waist cards and longswords of the spiritual world can only be brought to the spiritual world temple in the secret mandala and cannot be brought to the real world at all. Xiaopingan let the grey mist wrap around his body, hiding his whereabouts. He flew on the ground and rushed out towards the Muling fort he saw yesterday. But just a few minutes after rushing out, Xiaopingan felt something was wrong, and suddenly stopped in the grey mist. Xiaopingan felt that there seemed to be something in the sky. He looked up and saw that a few black things in the sky were entangled with the spiritual bodies of the stars, which looked dim. If it weren't for the writhing black things, the light of those stars had some strange flickering changes, but he didn't notice it for a while. After taking a closer look, Xiaopingan was startled. The black thing wrapped around those stars had no idea what kind of monster it was. The monster has a snake-like body, covered with black scales, but has 6 ant-like legs. A pair of huge tentacles on the monster's forehead are like suckers sucking up spirits in the sky. On the stars. Chapter 2 later.